You shall raise up the foundations of many generations, and you shall be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of streets to dwell in.
I was brought up in a home where, I didn't know my father. My mother was going through some things. Things weren't as bad as they are now. Now you have more people, cutting each other's throats and trying to, become something that they're not. This neighborhood is interesting. It's a good thing at times and it's a bad thing at times. There's really no jobs around here. It's a bare, it's just rugged terrain. You have a lot of scattered housing. You have a lot of death at times. It's always something to talk about, really, whether it's sports, whether it's what's happening, or whether who just got killed. Most of the fathers in the black community are locked up. That leaves a lot of weight on the mother's shoulders. She might have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to provide a decent life for her young children, and yet that leaves them a lot of time alone, to sort things out that no 13, 14, 15-year-old young man or young woman should have to sort out. Just growing up in this whole thing, just keeping cool, just staying positive, that's it.
In urban and rural communities across the nation, a challenge exists, a stubborn obstacle forged by strife and tempered by neglect. It lives on streets and in neighborhoods such as these. It inhabits the lives and homes of a vital and important segment of our society. But with challenge comes opportunity, a chance to bring about positive change. For some, this opportunity is passed by, overlooked on the way to other places. But many refuse to be satisfied with merely what is. Instead, they strive to create what can be.
America works for 70 to 80% of our population, but there's 20 to 30% of our population that is not all black, but a larger proportion of which is black, that is victim to all of these problems.
Few issues today are of greater importance to the future of the United States than the plight of the nation's poor and disenfranchised. This is especially true for certain African American men and boys.
What we're talking about really is the salvation of a nation. You can't allow the deterioration of, or the destruction of young African American men and boys and expect that the rest of our nation will somehow just go on.
While the majority of African American men are successful contributing members of society, a significant number are immersed in a desperate struggle, one that not only endangers their lives and futures, but also threatens the well-being of their families, their communities, and society as a whole.
There's a certain fear of young people. There's a tremendous fear of black young people. So much so that rather than try to listen to them, to understand them, to get to know them, we want to push them away and have nothing to do with them. By creating this breach, you're continuing what the Kerner Commission said in the late 60s, that the violence of the 60s was the result of 2 Americas, one black, one white. I think we focus on the men and boys because that's the most difficult. That's the part that's being neglected. That's where the greatest danger is. That's where the biggest breach is in our society. We see repairing this breach and one nation, indivisible, under God, with liberty and justice for all, is the only America that's worth living in. And that America can't have a breach based on class, creed, or color.
Indeed, these difficulties can be overcome. And that is our central challenge. We must find effective ways of working together to create conditions that allow all individuals in our society to overcome whatever adversity they face and reach their fullest potential.
My dream is the dream that I'm sure every parent has for their child, and that is that the child can have the best possible opportunity for education, a quality education, that they can be raised up and developed to their fullest potential. I think it's so important that people be given, every child be given an opportunity to develop to his or her fullest potential.
Part of the problem is that so many youngsters have lost respect for education, and nobody at home cares.
What is it about good parenting? More than anything, it's about listening. It is about interacting. It is about guiding and sharing views. It is about real two-way communication. Well, we've got to do that as a society, and generally speaking, we don't.
Those of us who don't have children need to make sure that we share our resources with those who need it, so that other children who don't have parents to help, or, can also be helped to get an education.
My father used to always have a little saying. He says, the man who can beat you thinking will always be your boss. Stay in school, train your mind.
And they've got to learn to run their own lives so that they can become effective members. Problem-solving members is what the word effective really means, of this society. What we really need is a great deal more collaboration, communication, and cooperation between young and old. And we have very little of that going on in the society these days. So, and the programs that work are the programs that do have that sort of communication, that dialogue going on.
There are many issues to be considered. Each of us has an important role to play in this discussion and in the actions that follow.
And I think if we were to seek to look to how we can help the entire body of people, the entire human race, I think we'd be a better people.
It's something that we believe that's important to the nation, and as a member of this society, it makes it very important for all of us.
In all communities, gangs are big now. White communities, Puerto Rican communities, Asian communities, Italian communities. The problem is that the family structure is deteriorated. That's what a gang has. It has that family structure. That's what draws the attention, because you have a family there. I mean, it's not the typical family like, Leave It to Beaver with a mother and a father, but it's that family sense, and it's oriented in family, and that attracts them. They take care of one another. They're there for one another when they need them.
We began this work with the African American Men and Boys Project because we were attempting to find ways to assist young men who are in trouble or who are heading toward trouble. We are looking for solutions within communities and how communities can make changes and be transformed so that boys can be helped.
The African American Men and Boys Initiative is providing communities with programs and resources proven to be effective in meeting the needs of young men. But the real strength of this effort has been linking programs together, forging a network where lessons learned can be shared and success replicated. The needs of African American males in their communities are complex and interrelated. Solutions must correspondingly be holistic and comprehensive.
Well, I believe that it certainly takes the commitment of a number of different stakeholders in the society for that to take place.
The fact is that this is not something that a couple of institutions can do, a couple of organizations. It's going to require all of us to do it.
None of this begins with the ideas of a few sitting around in a room and just saying, well, this is what we'll do. It all begins by having a number of us walk the streets and actually become engaged, physically engaged and verbally engaged with the very men and women that we are trying to encourage.
A key part of the Kellogg Foundation initiative was the formation of a national task force. Chaired by former United Nations Ambassador Andrew Young, this group of distinguished leaders met throughout 1994 and 1995 to examine the issues. During these discussions, they developed several decisive recommendations for future activities. Building leadership, changing perceptions, creating a sense of civic responsibility and public kinship, fostering the common good, restoring community. These are issues that affect us all. Indeed, for any plan of action to be effective, there must be an ongoing civic dialogue, one that involves not only African Americans, but every aspect of American society.
The first goal is to get leaders together and have some discussion on these issues. Then I hope that there are some concrete programs that come out of this. The community and especially the political leaders and business leaders need to really stop and think about how we can solve this problem and bring the resources together and really recognize that it's a crisis.
One fact is certain: the collective future of our communities, of our nation, rests on changing the future of those on the margins of our society. Yet the avenues of change are often frustrated by cultural misunderstandings, by misperceptions, by bias. Circumstances where even good people fail to look beyond the obvious to see the issues for what they really are.
One of the major misperceptions is that many members of our community, particularly males, are drug-abusing criminals that are irresponsible, baby-making type people that have no concern or care for their communities.
I sense some fear and misunderstanding, and I'm sorry, I blame the media a great deal.
We view each other as enemies. That's one of the common perceptions.
They don't tend to want to assimilate with us as once I thought they did.
There's a misnomer that there's only black people on welfare.
I think there probably is a mistrust, probably on both sides, really.
Perception of the black community that we see is negative. Everything is negative. And the perception for, let's say, a white community is everything is positive. There's nothing negative going on.
Black society wants to be, well, the big equal. They want to be equal and this and that, but now I think they want to stand out more themselves.
A lot of white Americans need to, come into the black community and see what's really going on and learn about our culture, and we basically learn about theirs. I think it's a learning process both ways.
In neighborhoods throughout our country, we can witness the product of this misunderstanding. But the opportunity to make a change in the lives of individuals begins with the efforts of individuals and grows from there.
We need to see more black leaders, more black role models, black male role models that you can touch, that you can shake hands, that you can get advice from. I'm not talking about a Michael Jordan. I'm not talking about an Emmitt Smith. I'm talking about a guy that you can call and talk to, and get advice on this situation. If you don't teach us how to be leaders tomorrow, there won't be any leaders for tomorrow. There won't be anybody to step up and say, we need to do this as a black community.
I am very comfortable having been an African-American male, and I enjoyed my life as an African-American boy because I had the support network from church, Y, school, parents, and also my country. I was unusual, though. And my dream is that every African-American male can have the same kind of support from church, school, parents, Boy Scouts, YMCA, the society at large that I've had.
We need not look far to see how community commitment and people working together can restore neighborhoods and improve lives. In the nation's capital, for example, this commitment and cooperation has revitalized a neighborhood, sparked reinvestment, and provided untold opportunities for residents.
Well, Paradise Parkside is a neighborhood which 50 years ago was one of the best neighborhoods to live in Washington, D.C. And through the years, there was a decline.
In the late 70s, the drugs started to come in. Nothing was done about it. The police was here, they run them out, and they come right back again.
When I first came on the department, it was 1990. So that's when the drugs were just beginning to be cleaned up, and all the places, a lot of the apartments were vacant, and it was a pretty drab place to be.
You walk through the community, you'll see these little archways. And in these archways, that's where people would sell and buy drugs. Growing up, I couldn't go outside and play. And when I was 15, 13, the only thing I wanted to be was a drug dealer. As you can see, I'll never become a drug dealer now, but that's all I knew. I knew drug dealers. The people who I knew who had respect, power, and money were drug dealers. I wouldn't know my father. He walked in here and shook my hand. I got lucky. My grandfather was around, and he taught me some things that I think I understand today. And he said, you know, I want you to go out into this world and make our family name mean something. I want you to go out in the world and become somebody, something. And I think I've been trying to do that all my life.
Ideally, it's a partnership between your typical mother and father. If that doesn't work, you know, you have to utilize community resources, extended families, and that's been done in the black community for ages, so that's not new, but I think we need to relook it and figure out how to make that stronger.
The people of this community restored the streets to safety. With peace and security came the chance for reinvestment. Well over $50 million in loans from private and public sources dramatically improved the housing and created beauty and new opportunity.
I think that's what the Paradise Parkside revitalization proved, was that the most difficult circumstances could be changed and that people could get together and do that.
A lot of the kids around here, they don't have any positive male role in their lives, and I provide from two perspectives, a young man that's doing something with himself, and a police officer who's trying to do the right things, and just I try to appear to them as a young black man in our community that's doing the right thing.
And what we try to do is bring back that kind of exposure, not just for kids, but for their families. I think that's the best way to describe our community right now.
And it's a positive place to be now. You look around, you don't see places boarded up, you don't see anybody hanging out, you don't see the loiterers as much, and it's just gotten to be a really nice place to be, a really nice community to live in.
About 150 miles south of Washington, D.C., in a small tidewater community set deep in rural Virginia, another kind of success story is being told. Surrey County was known as Sorry County until Don Anderson and the National Association for the Southern Poor launched a quiet revolution here.
Well, if you want to talk about self-help by a great many people, you have to first organize them. Otherwise, you cannot get collective decision-making.
Among other things, the community's education system was in shambles. The area was economically depressed. Crime was prevalent. And African-American residents, 64% of the county's population, were shut out of the political process. But all that has changed. In fact, efforts to restore the community have been so successful that the local jail was closed for lack of business.
Surrey County was controlled, by a white majority board of supervisors, and of course all of the functions of government were controlled by that group of people at that time.
We go in and we organize the entire county. We divide the county into groups of 50 people, which are called conferences, and each of these groups, these conferences, is represented in the central decision-making body, which is almost governmental in nature. It's called the Assembly.
Well, the Assembly system has worked very well in Surrey County. It, of course, has united the community in a number of senses and have provided a way or means by which the county could address a number of the issues that citizens were facing. Because again, there are just a myriad of problems that people face, in this county or in any place where the conditions of poverty exist.
The cause of poverty is inadequate education.
Education is the cornerstone of progress. Education determines how people live and how they will live.
We can say at this time that we have an extremely fine education system.
We're sending 90% of our kids to college. We're very proud of that. But as these kids learn, as they do, they will teach their children. And that's what it's got to be. So we are lifting as we're climbing. And I think that is the strongest thing that we can boast.
I think the most important lesson is that people united together certainly can move forward. Once they're united together, can move forward to resolve the problems that they face.
I think that Surrey County has proved that by giving good education, you can get rid of poverty in the United States. And I wish that the rest of the country were like Surrey County.
Paradise Parkside and Surrey County are model efforts, to be sure, but they do not stand alone. Similar successes can be found throughout the country, in rural villages and urban neighborhoods, along the dusty roads of the Mississippi Delta, and on the bustling streets of our major cities. These efforts clearly illustrate that activities to restore communities and provide opportunity arise not only through individual commitment, but through cooperation among people, each committed to building better lives and to strengthening the social fabric for all citizens. As a nation, we need to support such efforts and find additional creative solutions. Only by working together and bringing the resources of society to bear can we relieve the intense pressures that threaten African American men and boys.
I don't think we're in a situation where the programs aren't out there. I just think we need to support some existing programs.
The alternative is to leave young people drifting for themselves, sometimes coming up with the wrong answers, sometimes coming up with answers that are actually anti-social.
We've got a lot of work to do, and we've got to be willing to make the sacrifice to reach out, to bring them in.
My dream for the future of African American boys and men is, first of all, that I believe clearly 25 to 30% of young African American men and boys who are now incarcerated or under some branch of the criminal justice system can be freed from that burden. My vision is that all African American men and boys who want a good education can get one, and that there will be curricula designed so that these young men and boys will have the kind of education that will equip them for life in the 21st century. I'd like to see all African American men and boys equipped to deal with the technology of the 21st century, so that we can communicate not only with ourselves but also with the rest of the world. I'd like to see new paradigms for employment, such that young African American men and growing boys will have an opportunity to work on things that will be meaningful for the development of their communities and the development of the entire nation. And finally, I'd like to see, and not necessarily in this order, but I'd like to see a new moral foundation, a new moral rooting, a new moral footing, new moral stand on which young African American men and boys can place their feet.
Jubali, Jubali, my Lord. Jubali.
I cannot see myself being unsuccessful or a failure in life, because I have the most. You can go back here and out of the world and look. I have the most motivation in the world to not be a failure. I see the results of failure, and I cannot accept failure. Because when you accept failure, you know, you accept yourself to be, you know, subpar, and I'm not a subpar person. I mean, I'm a young black African American, whatever you want to call me, but I'm going to be successful, and no one's going to take that away from me. No one.
Tomorrow the sun will rise. Another day is dawning, but stars shine cold and black tonight. And I wonder if this will be alright. Oh, some people across this land that just don't understand a black man. It didn't change when Rosa lost her seat, or walking in Selma. Those steps were steps in history, but still we cry, in this world there's no equality. Each man picks his time to cross the street, but rest assured, on that day you're gonna meet the road.